Hi, how you doing? Today is garlic planting day for us. It's a little bit early, almost 2 weeks earlier than we normally would plant garlic. However, our weather is about to change and it's supposed to rain tomorrow, and I just thought I could get these in the ground before the rain. The night temperatures for the foreseeable future are not going to be much more above 5 degrees. So the soil is going to cool rapidly within the next few days. Some nights on Thursday, I think we have a low of -3 predicted. So it's getting close to that time to put it in the ground. So we're going to get them in the ground today. My name is Sharon. I garden on a large yard in a small town in east central Saskatchewan, Zone 3. And this is my Sask garden. So before we actually get planting, we prepare the cloves. I had a little short the other day showing how I take apart the heads and I choose the biggest cloves out of the head for planting. We're actually going to test that theory that bigger cloves mean bigger bulbs, and so this is the big bulbs or the big cloves that I've chosen, and this is one of the smaller cloves. I've chosen 4 of these and I'm going to plant 4 in a row, and we'll see in the spring if there's any remarkably big difference. This part is a little unorthodox and I never would have thought to do it nor believed it had I not been told to do so by a professional or commercial garlic grower. That was at least 10 years ago, and we have done this every year since. And that is, we trim off the very tip of the garlic, exposing the flesh a little. And honestly, we have never had a loss. We have always had pretty much every garlic clove come up. So it's just the very tip that is exposed like that. This, of course, is the root end that goes into the soil, and this stays, this is also in the soil, but it goes in this way. So again, just one more. Here's the clove, and we slice off just the very tip. Do so carefully. And I guess the theory is that it's easy for the sprout to come out instead of trying to make its way through all that thick skin. This is the music variety of garlic. I just had a thought that I just got these new Felco 322s, these little hand pruners, and they're really sharp. And so I had a thought maybe that would also work for these, and it certainly does. In my mind, it's a little bit safer than the knife. I shouldn't be trusted around knives like that. Oh. Just want to expose that flesh some. This one actually has 2 cloves in it. So does that one. I do all my vegetable gardening in raised beds. If you've not seen the video, you can go back and look for the video on a mid-September check-in on the raised beds. I've always grown garlic in the raised beds. I've never had any losses, and I will just explain the whole process as I go through it. We've previously amended the soil and tilled it, and so it is nice and soft, a good 6 inches down, which is coincidentally the size of that blade on that hori knife. Within this raised bed, this time, I'm only going to use half of the raised bed for the garlic, and the other half will be onion in the spring. I'm going to plant 4 rows of garlic, and about, I think, 10 in each row, which will give me 40 head of garlic in next year. And so I've already staked it out here with rebar stakes. I've started about 9 inches or 10 inches from the edge. You wouldn't want to plant right near the edge. I've always come in about a foot from the edge to plant the garlic. just so it gets that insulation from the soil all around it. And I'm just going to create a small furrow. They're also about 9 inches in between the row. You could go as close as 6 inches. So to actually plant the clove, I just hold it in between my fingers and I push it into the soil. I push it in probably about 2 to 3 inches. And then of course once this is covered up, that adds the other couple or 3 inches that you need. I'm just going to do these 4 across the front here because this is the test of the smaller cloves. This is where they're going to be planted, right on the end. A little bit of a tough spot there, so I just loosen the soil. I'll tell you, these hori knives, I do everything with them. They are an excellent little investment or request for a Christmas present. So now I'm just going to set them into this furrowed row, and I'm just going to use my knife as a spacing. Root side down. That's 6. Oh, looks like I'll get 11. That's all right. And then I'll just go back and set them in. Okay. Now, if you had your rows spaced closer together, say they were 4 inches apart instead of 6 or 7, say they were right here, the next row, what you can do to get proper spacing, instead of putting it directly across, you can just stagger in between, and then you would still get that 6 inches of spacing, as opposed to if you had it right there, it would be like 4.5 inches of spacing. So that's one way you can get away with tighter rows. This is a hardneck variety called Music. It's the only one I grow now. I have tried several varieties, and I find this one has the longest storage, and it's got a nice flavor, and it grows well every year. Just seems to be rock solid hardy. Okay, that should be 44 cloves of garlic, and this space is 4 feet wide and 6 feet long. So that's not bad. You could space it a little bit tighter as well and get more cloves of garlic. This will be plenty for us. After that's all done, then I just go in and I fill in all those furrows and rake it all level. I like to also keep them marked so I know where to look in the spring if they're coming up. After the ground is freezing or frozen and before frost, I put on a thick layer of straw, probably about 4 inches thick, It usually does okay, not blowing away in the wind, but I also have some net that I have tacked up to rebar, and that can get put across to hold the straw down. So that's it for planting garlic. It really isn't a difficult process. Choose a hardneck garlic. I highly recommend a music variety. Prepare your soil, plunk them in. Sometime between now and the middle of October is an ideal time. And if you're growing in a raised bed, I like to put on a straw mulch. But that's it in a nutshell. Thanks very much for watching today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope it was helpful to you in some way. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing. It really does help my channel. Thanks again. See you soon.